Karoline Leavitt, a name that has quickly risen in American politics, is a force to be reckoned with. At just 26 years old, she made waves as one of the youngest women ever to be elected to Congress. Known for her bold conservative views, sharp political acumen, and unwavering confidence, Leavitt represents a new wave of Republican leadership. Her story begins in New Hampshire, where she was born and raised in a politically active family. She caught the public's eye with her passionate speeches, fiery debates, and fierce advocacy for limited government, individual freedoms, and traditional values. On the other side of the spectrum sits Stephen Colbert, the beloved late-night host known for his satirical take on politics and sharp wit. For over a decade, Colbert has built a reputation as one of the most influential voices in late-night television. His style, a unique blend of humor, irreverence, and serious political commentary. Guests from all walks of life sit across from him on The Late Show, and while the conversation often starts lighthearted and filled with jokes, Colbert has a knack for steering the conversation toward tough political questions, no matter who his guest is. But this wasn't just any ordinary late-night appearance. This was a collision of two worlds, one of political dynamism and the other of comedy and sharp political satire. As the stage was set for their meeting, few could have predicted the intensity of the exchange that would unfold. Leavitt, known for her articulate and forceful responses, was about to face one of the sharpest comedic minds in the world, and what happened next would leave audiences both shocked and impressed. The stage was set for a showdown of ideas, wit, and political clout. This wasn't just another late-night interview. It was a clash of ideologies delivered with a mix of humor, tension, and raw honesty. As the lights dimmed and the audience cheered, Karoline Leavitt stepped onto the stage, radiating confidence. Clad in a smart suit and with a poised smile, she was ready to face one of television's most skilled interviewers. Colbert, with his signature grin and playful demeanor, welcomed her with the usual comedic flair, lightening the mood with a few jabs at her age and the political landscape she was stepping into. But beneath the surface of Colbert's jovial humor was a deeper agenda: to poke at Leavitt's political views, challenge her convictions, and see how she would handle the barrage of questions. And for the most part, Leavitt handled it with the grace and poise of someone who had been preparing for this very moment. With each jest, she responded with sharp retorts, her political intelligence clear, her resolve unwavering. Soon Colbert shifted gears, pushing into more controversial territory. He wasn't just asking about her policy stances, he was questioning her principles, trying to draw her out on the bigger issues that had defined her campaign. It wasn't the usual late-night banter. Colbert, known for his humorous jabs, started to test the limits of Leavitt's patience, but instead of becoming defensive or rattled, she leaned into the challenge. She delivered answers that were measured but firm, breaking down his critiques with counterpoints that hit home with precision. And then it happened, the moment that would define the entire interview. With a question designed to rattle her, Colbert made a bold statement about her political views, attempting to corner her with a sarcastic remark. But Leavitt wasn't about to let him off easy. With a calm demeanor but a steely gaze, she responded in a way that stunned both Colbert and the audience. The silence that followed was palpable as Colbert paused, caught off guard by her brilliance and the directness of her reply. It was a pivotal moment, one that shifted the entire tone of the conversation. Instead of Colbert being in control, the tables had turned. The audience could feel the tension in the air, a palpable shift from comedy to a more serious exchange. It was clear that this wasn't just another late-night interview. It was a clash of ideologies, one that had the audience hanging on every word. And for the rest of the interview, Colbert's usual sharp humor was tempered as Leavitt deftly steered the conversation back on her terms. As the conversation progressed, Leavitt continued to showcase her remarkable ability to navigate the intense pressure of a late-night interview. Colbert, clearly caught off guard by her poise, tried to regain control with his signature humor, but each attempt seemed to fall flat against the sheer force of her well-articulated responses. She wasn't just answering his questions, she was dismantling them layer by layer with a precision that left little room for rebuttal. At one point, Colbert tried to steer the discussion into the realm of national security, a topic rife with political division. He threw a sarcastic comment her way, questioning whether the values she championed could truly hold up in the face of global threats. But instead of shying away from the heavy topic, Leavitt dove right in. With a calm and confident tone, she spoke about the importance of a strong national defense, stressing that America's strength abroad was directly tied to its values at home. She didn't back down, and her response was both firm and persuasive, leaving Colbert momentarily speechless. The audience, sensing the shift in momentum, began reacting more enthusiastically with bursts of applause and cheers. It was clear that Leavitt was winning them over, not with flashy rhetoric, but with her grounded, clear-eyed approach to complex issues. In contrast, Colbert's once light-hearted jabs began to feel more like attempts to regain the upper hand, but each time Leavitt shut them down with a steady resolve. As the interview neared its conclusion, Colbert tried one last time to land a playful dig, this time about Leavitt's youth and the challenges of being a young conservative in today's polarized political climate. But instead of taking the bait, Leavitt turned the question on its head, addressing the challenges of leadership with a mature perspective that defied her years. She spoke about the importance of staying true to one's principles even when the political tides shift, and how being young should be seen as an asset, not a liability. By the time the interview wrapped up, it was clear to everyone in the studio that Karoline Leavitt had not just held her ground, she had completely dominated the conversation. Colbert, the master of late-night banter, had met his match in a young political star who wasn't afraid to stand up for what she believed in. As they exchanged pleasantries and the audience gave their final round of applause, it was evident that this was an interview that would go down in history. In that moment, Leavitt had done more than just hold her own the party line. She was someone who could hold her own, challenge the narrative, and perhaps most importantly, inspire a new generation of leaders. And as the political world continued to watch, one thing became undeniably clear: Karoline Leavitt was no longer just a name in the headlines. She was a force to be reckoned. She had proven that she was a force to be reckoned with in the world of politics, and perhaps more importantly in the world of media. The aftermath of the interview was swift and powerful. Within minutes of the broadcast, social media platforms exploded with reactions. Clips of the most intense moments of the interview went viral, sparking debates across the political spectrum. On Twitter, conservative commentators hailed Leavitt as a rising star, praising her for her composed yet forceful responses. Some even dubbed her the new face of the Republican Party, with many suggesting that she had effectively silenced Colbert in a way few could ever achieve. On the other side, critics were quick to analyze the moments that had made the interview so captivating. Political pundits on the left questioned whether Colbert had been too harsh or whether he had underestimated the strength of Leavitt's convictions. Some even accused him of trying to provoke her with pointed questions, only to see her rise to the challenge and turn the tables. Leavitt herself became the subject of numerous interviews and appearances as her profile surged to new heights. Many commentators pointed to her calm and direct handling of Colbert's barbs as evidence of her potential to navigate the rough waters of American politics, especially in the age of polarized discourse. Her calm, reasoned demeanor stood in stark contrast to the emotional rhetoric often seen in political debates, and it resonated with a wide audience, particularly those frustrated with the divisive nature of modern politics. The interview also caught the attention of political strategists who began discussing how Leavitt's performance could influence future campaigns. Her ability to balance sharp policy positions with a refreshing sense of personal integrity made her a compelling figure. Some speculated that she could become a key player in future Republican primaries, while others believed her presence on the national stage could significantly impact the broader political landscape. Meanwhile, Stephen Colbert, known for his quick wit and unrelenting sense of humor, seemed to take the encounter in stride. In the days following the interview, he took to his own show to comment on the conversation, admitting that Leavitt had indeed surprised him while still maintaining his humorous approach. Colbert acknowledged that Leavitt had proven herself as a formidable political figure. "I thought I was just interviewing a politician," he joked, "but I think I ended up in the middle of a masterclass on political debate." For Leavitt, the interview was more than just a victory over a late-night host. It was a defining moment in her political career. It solidified her as a young politician who wasn't afraid to take on the media, defend her views, and navigate the tough questions that come with being in the public eye. It also marked her as a symbol of a new breed of conservative leaders, ones who combine clarity of purpose with a modern sensibility, appealing to a younger, more diverse audience. As the dust settled and the interview's articles and analyses continued, one thing was certain: Karoline Leavitt had made her mark. Whether or not she had truly shut down Colbert was up for debate, but in the eyes of many she had certainly held her own, and that alone was an achievement worth celebrating. As the days passed, the reverberations of that memorable interview continued to echo through the media. For Karoline Leavitt, the fallout from her appearance on The Late Show had far-reaching implications. Her Twitter following surged, and news outlets began covering her as a political figure of increasing influence. No longer just a rising star in New Hampshire, she was quickly becoming a national figure, her name regularly popping up in discussions about the future of the Republican Party. Behind the scenes, Leavitt's team worked tirelessly to capitalize on the momentum. Her appearance on Colbert's show became a cornerstone of her public image, one that showcased not only her ability to handle tough interviews, but also her potential to lead in a new political era. She wasn't just another politician following the party line. She was someone who could engage, challenge, and even thrive under pressure. Public figures from all walks of life weighed in, with many praising her for standing firm in her beliefs while keeping her composure under the intense scrutiny of one of America's most famous late-night hosts. Her performance was dissected in articles, panel discussions, and TV appearances where pundits debated whether this was a glimpse of a future presidential candidate or just a momentary highlight in her career. Either way, it was clear she had something few others in politics had: the ability to captivate a national audience while holding steadfast to her ideals. Among her supporters, there was growing excitement about the possibility of Leavitt eventually running for higher office. Some speculated that she could be the next big name to challenge the political establishment with her polished public persona and clear communication style. Others, seeing her as a fresh face in a sea of political veterans, believed she could bring a new voice to a party that often felt out of touch with younger generations. But it wasn't just the conservative world that took notice. Even moderate and liberal commentators began acknowledging Leavitt's sharp intellect and rhetorical skill. While they may not have agreed with her policies, they couldn't deny the strength with which she articulated them, and in the polarized political climate, that kind of clarity was something that could turn heads regardless of party affiliation. For Colbert, the interview turned into an ongoing talking point. On his own show a few weeks after the broadcast, he made a playful reference to the encounter, saying, "So I had this young politician on the show who taught me a few things about debating, mostly how to keep my mouth shut when I'm losing." His light-hearted approach was Colbert's way of acknowledging that he had met someone who had the chops to hold her own against his quick wit, and in some ways come out on top. In the months that followed, Karoline Leavitt's presence in the media continued to grow. The Colbert interview had given her a platform, but it was her subsequent appearances and policy speeches that cemented her reputation as a serious political force. Whether she was speaking on conservative radio shows, attending grassroots events, or even participating in high-stakes policy debates, Leavitt's voice became one to watch. In the end, what made that interview with Stephen Colbert so impactful wasn't just the way Karoline Leavitt responded to the questions thrown her way. It was the way she handled the pressure, the way she stood her ground without arrogance, and the way she used humor and intellect to tame the tide of the conversation. She had proven in front of millions that she wasn't just another politician trying to tell